In One Punch Man, there is only one hero that everyone in the world fears and respects. No, not Saitama. He gets disrespected all the time. I am talking about King. Nobody has ever challenged King without suffering a crushing defeat. Not even Saitama. We're talking about video games here, but still. Saitama once used something like the nerve gear from SAO to enter a video game and fight. It let him be as overpowered as he is in real life. But King still beat him with just a controller. We all know that the rumors about King's strength aren't true. But what if they were? How strong would King actually be? And would he be able to beat Saitama? Let's find out. Characters in One Punch Man don't actually get to pick their own hero names. The Hero Association does that for them. It's why Saitama ended up with a name like Cape Baldy. He's got a cape, and of course, he's bald. Pretty straightforward. Someone like Tatsumaki was probably so intimidating that nobody dared to call her something like Little Green. But what about King? Well, his name apparently comes from the fact that he can effortlessly defeat a disaster-level demon monster. His full name is more like King of Heroes. At this point, we've seen plenty of really strong monsters, so maybe that doesn't sound too impressive. But it's important to remember that S-Class heroes aren't expected to take down disaster-level dragon monsters, at least not on their own. For disaster-level wolf, it should take a B-Class hero to get the job done. For disaster-level tiger, you'll usually need an A-Class hero. To take down a disaster-level demon, it usually takes one S-Class hero. And those are supposed to be challenging fights. For King to be above demon level without trying means that only disaster level dragons and above would be worth his time. Monsters that strong are rare, which is why the lack of battle data on King is understandable. And if the rumors about him are true, then that means King defeated monsters like Vaccine Man and Marugori. Doing stuff like this earned King the title of the strongest man on Earth. That's enough for him to at least rise up to being the third strongest S-Class hero. Tatsumaki obviously isn't a man, and technically, Blast isn't usually on Earth. These days, King is the number 5 S-Class hero. But hero rankings aren't just about strength. King enjoys silence and peace. He also doesn't care for crowds or loud noises. It's said that he just shows up, saves the day with a single hit, and leaves without saying anything. He's not in the public eye as much as others, and makes unpredictable appearances. So him being that high up from just his feats is impressive. But here's the thing. The legend of King just keeps rising. Now, he's not just the strongest man on Earth. He's the strongest living being on Earth. Sorry, Tatsumaki, King's stronger, which explains why she respects him. But that is a major title change. That means that there isn't a single monster on Earth that is stronger than King. To be fair, it's believed that King was the one to kill Monster King Orochi while everyone else was struggling against his goons. And after that fight, King emerged without a single scratch on him. But King has been hurt before. Everyone knows this because of the scar on his face. Compared to Saitama, who barely reacts after taking nuclear fists to the chin, that might make King seem weaker. But not so fast. It's believed that King got his scar by fighting a disaster-level god monster. That's described to be a threat to the survival of all humans. Not even Saitama has fought one. But to truly understand King's incredible power, we need to talk about the King Engine. King pretty much has the power of Haki from One Piece, but it is much, much stronger. King's aura is crushing. A disaster-level wolf like Tongue Stretcher couldn't even handle being near him. The monster dropped to his knees and began to cry within seconds. Then he cried so much that he had a seizure. The pressure quickly knocked him out. No matter their disaster level, for monsters, hearing the sound of the King Engine is an inescapable death sentence. King is the only character in all of One Punch Man who's been able to kill a monster with only intimidation. Being near him caused the creature to lose its sense of balance. Then its bones pierced through its vital organs. For disaster-level dragon monsters, the sound of the King Engine is like a shot of adrenaline. They're immediately put on edge and become too scared to move an inch. Robots like G4 are immune to this effect. But that might be even worse. Child Emperor, Metal Knight, Drive Knight, the organization, none of these tech geniuses could build anything that would be able to measure King's power. King is an anomaly that no machine would ever be able to understand. So why didn't King fight G4? Obviously, the strongest living being on Earth didn't just run away. Really, it's because King's sensory and foresight abilities are the greatest in the series. He knew that Genos was watching him. An enemy like that was hardly worth King's time. But G4 was the perfect challenge for a new S-Class hero like Genos. And afterward, Demon Cyborg was upgraded with G-Force technology. This made him a stronger hero and a greater aid to society. Meanwhile, King got to know Saitama. This could imply that King is the only character in all of One Punch Man who could immediately recognize how strong Saitama truly is. And this is on brand. King can sense monsters. Even if they have a perfect disguise, he can see through their lies with just a single glance. King is always vigilant and leaves absolutely no openings to be taken advantage of. That's the opposite of Saitama, who leaves countless openings but is just too durable for it to matter. For even the most trained eye, it might look like King has tons of openings too. But really, they're just feints on top of feints. There are too many for the mind to even comprehend. By using all of this to his advantage, King is no doubt a master tactician. He has keen receptors wired into every inch of any battlefield he's on. Even for something as mysterious as the power God gave Homeless Emperor, King was able to assess the man's greatest weakness within seconds of seeing him. And he did this to evil natural water at the exact same time. He knew that the monster only reacted to hostile emotions and attacks. To counter this, King completely suppressed his killing intent. He's able to do this thanks to his isolated, special training. It's believed that he does this to fortify both his body and soul. He's gotten so good at this that he can straight up vanish, or even erase his presence to become indistinguishable from a stationary microbe. But as impressive as this may be, King continues to strive for more. The King Engine and his killing intent are things that King fights hard to control. But once he perfects it, he will gain access to power from a whole different dimension. The martial arts style he created, King-style Qigong, has a very infamous reputation. Typical Qigong is all about spirituality and balance, but King's version seems to be pretty terrifying. King actually visited all of the greatest dojos Japan had to offer in a single day. He struck fear into the hearts of even the most confident of veterans. In his prime, Bam was the greatest martial artist in the world, and even he had to admit that if he were any younger, King would have successfully baited him into making the first attack. After his rival Bang retired from hero work, the S-Class hero Atomic Samurai decided to set his sights on King. When he approached, King made it clear that he could beat the greatest swordsman in the world with only a pair of chopsticks. Atomic Samurai told King to imagine him as an enemy monster. With this, the King engine began revving up. But fearing a brutal counterattack, Atomic Samurai hesitated and didn't move. But just before his impatience could get the better of him, King saved the lives of countless people. You see, King's scientific knowledge is generations ahead of our modern understanding. He knows all about Dolzena Bring reactions, something that not even the world's top geniuses have ever heard of. Probably because Dr. Dolzena Bring hasn't even been born yet. But more on King's time travel powers in a bit. Because of this phenomenon, simply fighting King on a certain day would bring about a major catastrophe. King is a true hero that places the safety of others above all else. It's why he let his fellow S-Class heroes fight the Monster Association's executives while he protected a child. It's why he used his own body to shield an unconscious Tatsumaki and Fubuki from Garo's radiation, while he himself was obviously in the middle of ascending beyond his physical form and is totally still alive. In fact, even if they're hitmen trying to kill him, King believes that all humans are worth saving equally. And he's actually very courteous to anyone foolish enough to challenge him. King has a habit of letting his enemies go all out against him. But I mean, what's the difference, right? To King, disaster-level dragon monsters like Homeless Emperor, Black S, Golden S, and Evil Natural Water combined were like ants. They pose no threat at all. Even when 54 trillion Black S cells began fusing together, King was unfazed and declared that it was just a number. Mind you, a single Black S was able to put in work against Atomic Samurai. Maybe King was being a bit generous with the whole chopsticks thing. Because most opponents are so far beneath him, it's rare to see King use his limited time secret killer move, Ultimate Purgatory Hellfire Burst Wave Motion Cannon. With it, even the strongest monsters that lack obvious weaknesses are totally annihilated. Even just a fraction of its power was enough to deal heavy damage to Platinum S and Evil Natural Water in less than a second. But that points to one of King's weaknesses. He can't go full power or even half strength if he has to use the bathroom. This might be because of how much stronger King's body is compared to a regular human's. It's hard enough for normal people to hold it in. For King, it must be more intense than any battle imaginable. But when King does decide to go all out, he can do something that not even Saitama can. Transform. Super Sparking King Mode, or SSJ for short, dramatically increases all of his abilities and powers. So yeah, King can go Super Saiyan. But even in base, he can move faster than Homeless Emperor's light can travel. Let's take a look at some of King's more legendary feats. It's said that he once flew into the sky while holding a bomb that could destroy the entire solar system and threw it into a giant black hole. First of all, that means King can fly, which Saitama can't. Next, an explosive that could destroy all 8 planets, all their moons, and the sun is incomprehensible. The biggest bomb ever detonated wasn't Saitama's galactic fart. It was the Tsar Bomba, which was about 50 megatons of TNT. To take out just the sun, you would need 1.8 E26 of those. Yeah, it's such a huge number that you've got to use letters. Also, a supermassive black hole can be millions or billions of times the mass of the sun. Just being within millions of miles of one would be beyond lethal. Inside the event horizon of a black hole, gravity is so strong that not even light can escape, even if it's shining off of Saitama's bald head. So imagine how far King needed to throw this super Death Star of a bomb that must have weighed more than any computer could ever calculate. Next, we have the fact that King traveled into the past to destroy all meteors headed towards Earth. So King has access to time travel. Saitama did too, but he doesn't remember how to do it. And for some unknown reason, King went back in time to destroy meteors that did not destroy the Earth. To continue with all the space stuff, it's said that King decided to use the moon as a sandbag, leaving a huge crater on it. There's also the fact that almost every mythology known to man is said to have prophesied King's birth. He is the universal messiah of this world. Besides being the greatest hero, King casually became the greatest swordsman in history while still being an amateur. Even a master like Atomic Samurai, who dedicated his entire life to the blade, could not see King's swordsmanship or series of movements. Like Master Nichiren, when King sliced an apple, it hadn't even realized it had been cut. He moved the blade through the gaps between cells. He did all this so fast that not even the sword itself realized that it had been unsheathed. I hate to break it to you guys, but King's list of feats far exceed those of Saitama's. In fact, this man would probably whoop Goku. So yeah, it looks like True Power King is stronger than Saitama. But because King likes to fight his opponents at their best, he'd probably give Saitama the chance to adapt and catch up. And we all saw how that went for Garo. But I'm sure that the legend of King is only just getting started. And here's another video that you should get started too. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.